Game of the year. Like, game of the year. How about it, South Carolina? Welcome on into the SEC Unfiltered postgame show. He's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson, breaking down everything that we saw at Willie-B as the Gamecocks. Yes, they do prove once again I am right. I was right. I'm always right. 34-30 victory. Come from behind win against Mizzou. Real quickly, make sure that you like the video, hit that ring notification, and of course, smash that subscribe button because we're talking college football every single day. Post-game reaction, Sunday Fun Day, Dave Talk Ball, the Monday Morning Power Hour. We got the college football playoff rankings. Whatever you see fit, smash the subscribe button so you don't miss out on the fun content. Make sure that you download the podcast version of the show, wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Follow Dave at Mock 10 Sports, me at Mr. Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. This post-game show is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is not only the sponsor for the SEC Unfiltered Tour, they are the number1 source to go ahead and keep your betting alive and well. Go ahead and visit prizepicks.com and use the promo code SECU for $50 off an instant play with your first $5 lineup. And guys, this is not like any other conversation that you have. It is betting on your favorite players. Do you think the over is going to hit tonight with Nico Iamaleava? Do you think Carson Beck is going to throw over or under 1.5 interceptions? Whatever you want, make sure that you go to Prize Picks, use the promo code SECU for a $50 instant play with your first $5 lineup. Dave, regardless of who won this game, we got a 4-quarter instant classic. This is one of those games that when we look back at the end of the year and just say we had fun, it was good, there was no dog in the fight, you just want to watch a good college football showdown, that's what you got. Domination in the first half by South Carolina, a response from Eli Drinkwitz in the second, and then finally, Lenore Sellers continues to grow up in front of our eyes. Gamecock Nation on a Saturday night in the most underappreciated environment in all of college football stands on business. They stay in the college football playoff hunt just enough to add more fuel to the fire. I'll tell you what, Rocket Sanders is worth every single penny because he proved tonight why he wanted to be a Gamecock.
Yeah, that was a good football game across the board. Give Missouri their flowers, too. I thought that was a good game plan by Eli Drinkwitz. The defense, Missouri couldn't get off the field when they had opportunities to, but Lenore Sellers, man, just keeps getting better every week, makes plays, just breaking tackles in the backfield, improvising. Again, what we all wanted Anthony Richardson to ever be and what the Indianapolis Colts drafted him off of. Is that development is what you're seeing with Lenore Sellers. You could tell early in the game, I thought the game plan from Dow Loggins and them, they started understanding the strength of this team is Lenore Sellers and Rocket Sanders. Again, for whatever reason, I still get hell for saying the South Carolina wide receiver room isn't that great. I still stand on that.
I'm going to be completely real. There's people who agree with you. They got to go out and add in some people this offseason.
Yeah. To be fair to Lenore Sellers, dude, imagine if that guy had some real weapons outside of his tight end that you're like, oh, shoot, this guy could make some plays. Love the development of him. He only gets better each week. Defense makes plays when they have to make plays. But Cole, you talked about a little off air. That was just a fun game across the board. You hate saying the cliche. You hate someone lost that. But as much as Missouri has not had that complete game, Cole, this may be something wild to say. You tell me if I'm wrong here. That may have been the most impressive game in a loss. Maybe the most impressive game Missouri's played all year.
I'll tell you what, Dave. Here's my thought. I refuse to believe what others said, that Missouri is not a top 25 team. I refuse to believe it. I get it. You're one of the worst 2-loss teams in all the country, but I'm sorry. You still have 2 losses. They're a good program. They have some players. They found ways to win against Auburn. They found ways to win against Vanderbilt. They found ways to get more signature overall victories. You saw the overall demeanor of Brady Cook wake up. Yeah, it was a good game. And you know what? This not only, I think, justifiably puts in the conversation of how good South Carolina is, it also puts in the conversation that this South Carolina team has earned its way into the fight to be a legit force if there is going to be a 9-3 team that goes. Because here's the good thing. Dave, think about this for a minute. LSU lost today. So no longer the head-to-head matters because it's 4 losses. Yeah. So you're going to have that conversation of if you can get in, you get in. And you know what? For anybody that talks about officiating in this game, just remember, bad officiating cost South Carolina a game against LSU. Guess what? Now it actually maybe ended up helping them. But let's go break this thing down. From the get-go, there was a good game plan in mind for Dow Loggins. There was. They knew how to run the football. They knew that they had to put the emphasis on trusting Rocket Sanders to be able to break on open for a couple of big-time first downs. They were aggressive. Now, some of those fourth down play callings is 100%, ones that you can question and go, hey, you know what? Maybe we just sell for the 3 points and we're not in the situation. But you got to give credit. Shane Beamer was not afraid to go for it. They got 2 fourth down conversions. And then also, you watch as the Norris Sellers continue to grow up. You had a great pass to Mazeo Bennett. You had a great pass to Nick Harbor, who I have to give a little bit of credit to. I was definitely kind of selling my stock on him. Kind of bought a little bit back today. You saw the big-time catch to Josh Simon. That first half, from a script perspective, even with the overall plays that you allowed Missouri to move on down and they got some field goals, you still had a solid game plan that forced Missouri to have to play a different brand of football in the second half.
Yeah, no, I agree. Really, the most improved player in the league throughout this entire season has definitely been Lenore Sellers.
100%.
100%. Because, I see some people in the comments saying that you're underestimating that. Dude, that guy makes a lot of these guys be wide open. Like, again, it's not taking anything away from second. I'm not saying these guys can't be the number 2 or number 3 receiver for a lot of teams. They don't have a real number 1. I'm a Cole. Nick Harper's flashed at times. Again, you got a 6'4", 230-pound freak show. It runs a 4.3, should be in the Olympics. Yeah, you're going to give him a chance. He's going to have a chance to keep developing. He has a chance to be a true number 1. I don't think anybody else in that room does, but that's more of a compliment to Lenore Sellers. When people add in Josh Simon, your tight end shouldn't be your number 1 guy unless it's more of that H role. That's not Josh Simon. But, yeah, South Carolina, I wouldn't drop them at all from the top 15 kind of realm. I think that was just an overall good football game. Missouri had their best game plan they'd had all season. That was their best game. Again, it's going to sound wild to say. That was the most impressed I have been with Missouri all season in a loss. And South Carolina is just this year, they're that team that's just finding ways to win, dude. Even when stuff's going against them, hey, we got to go down and score or it's over. Hey, Lenore Sellers makes a guy miss, extends a play, rolls out, hits someone wide open. It is what it is, dude. South Carolina is kind of a team of destiny from a standpoint of finishing 9-3 right now. I would have them finishing 9-3. I think I would say they would beat Clemson right now.
They will 100%.
But I would lean if they played tomorrow, I would pick South Carolina win that game.
The performance that they had today would beat Clemson, and it would beat Clemson by, I would say, double digits. Now, with that being said, you are right. Mizzou's offense actually showed up at times, and it wasn't just those big time plays where the physicality of a Marcus Carroll or the physicality of Brady Cook just leaving it all out there. Their offensive line balled. The thing that has bothered me so much this year is the inability to see consistency on the offensive line for Mizzou. That has been such a bothersome. They allowed 1 sack combined between Kyle Kennard and Josh Stewart. You tell me, Dylan, sir, you tell me going into that game. You tell me going into this performance that's going to be the storyline. I'm sorry. I'm laughing in your face because I had not seen it from Caden Green. I had not seen it from Marcus Bryant. Tolleson, one of the best offensive linemen in all of college football, was out. He wasn't even in this game, out for the year. And the fact that they stepped on up, the fact that they created open creases for Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll, the fact that they took out Stewart and Kennard, the fact that they were able to hold them to just 2 sacks on the day is such a good storyline when it comes to us looking at this Mizzou squad and people who were doubting them and saying, nah, this isn't a top 25 team. The version that showed up today, if they walk away with a win at 8-2, that's not only a signature win on their schedule, that shows you, and it shows the committee 100%, you have to include them in the conversation for a college football playoff spot. You have to. No questions about it whatsoever. You have to at least include them because that's a game that you can hold your hat on and say, when we play 4 quarters of football, we may be down, but we're not out. And that was the story in the second half. Nate Noel, big time run. Marcus Carroll, pile drives in for the 1-yard line for a touchdown. Then you see Brady Cook slinging it, wanting to show all of MIZ Nation back in Columbia, the other Columbia, Como, I'm not only playing in this game, I'm going to win you this game. We're going to come back and we're going to once again allow Eli Drinkovich to talk as much crap as he wants because of he has earned it. And I'm going to be a reason why you remember my name out in Como. And then the one-handed catch. I mean, again, it was a performance to where it was 4 quarters of back and forth, great football, but you got to give a testament to Mizzou's offensive line. The fact that they took out two of the best defensive linemen in the sport, not in the SEC, in the sport, period, I think speaks volumes of what Mizzou is when it's at its peak.
Yeah, their peak is what you saw in the second half. That's exactly what you saw in the second half. And I thought at times Beamer kind of let them hang around a little bit with fourth down decisions and stuff. But again, coaches are going to make mistakes in every game for every team. That's not just a Shane Beamer thing. That's everybody across the country. But no, I mean, I was really just impressed with both teams across the board. I mean, it was both teams threw their haymakers. Both teams bounced back. Both teams took their jabs. And again, if you want to get to 9 wins, be in that playoff conversation, if something crazy were to happen, these are the games, as we all seen in the history of the sport, even the national champion teams back in the BCS era or prior, like you had to have games where you won at the end when you probably weren't at your best in the second half. And that's what happened to South Carolina. So give them credit. I mean, again, South Carolina would probably be the first team to tell you they didn't play a great second half. Shane Beamer would probably be the first guy to tell you that too. But those are games you somehow, some way in your own backyard, you figure out ways to win the football game when you're having that kind of good season. You know what I mean, Cole? Like, you're having that kind of a hot season, hot past month. I mean, hottest team in the league for the past 4 weeks. Like, you keep finding ways to win. Good teams do. You love watching that defense. They've been fun to watch all year. And Lenore Sellers just only keeps getting better. Now, I'll continue to say this. I think he fits in better offensive styles than what Dow Logan wants to do. But again, they're making it work right now, or at least Lenore Sellers is making it work.
They're making it work, and I think that's the big point. Dave, let me ask you. There was one play that I got really confused with, and it was the 4th down call. Do you remember the one where Lenore Sellers, he runs and he tries to get the first down. They set it on up. Rocket Sanders, doesn't feel comfortable. He runs for it, and then they get the 4th down. Here's what I have a question. Whether or not I think that it's right, why are you going for it again? Like, did you not have a problem with that? Because, like, for me personally, they ran the play and then they said, no, hold up. We're gonna do it. We're gonna review it. But what are we gonna talk about when you see that it didn't work? You don't need to put them in your backyard because it's at the 40, and that's clear as day. The way the kicker was playing, they're walking away with points. The way Mizzou was playing, they're at least getting 3. Why didn't you punt it? And more importantly, from an officiating standpoint, why didn't they review it? Like, what happened there? What was it on that play?
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. There was kind of a weird play. You know the one where they reviewed it and then South Carolina went for it and didn't get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird one because they fumbled on that. Is that the same series you're talking about?
No. I'm talking about the one right before it was in the 3rd quarter, and Sellers runs. It's a 3rd and 8. They don't get it. And then they go and they call it, and Rocket Sanders gets stopped. And Rocket Sanders, they say, well, hold up. We're going to review it. We're going to go back and check it. And then they say, okay, well, we're going to run it again. And they run it, and they don't get the 4th down, and then Mizzou scores on the very next play, on like 6 plays later. I just don't get it. Like, why not? Why not in this game? Especially knowing that Mizzou is starting to gain momentum. Why don't you punt?
I don't know why you don't want. Sometimes Beamer kind of gets a little bit in his own. He makes weird decisions like that at times. And I feel like the defense this year, with how old they are, it's a veteran defense, it bailed them out a little bit with decisions. And to be fair, I criticized Dow Loggins a little bit. Some of it was Beamer putting them in bad spots. And again, Beamer's overachieved this year is what it is. They were better than I thought they would be. I can admit that.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is a weird – I agree. It's a weird spot. It's a weird spot. Kind of going back to when he opened up the game against Ole Miss with a fake punt randomly when I thought that was a little unnecessary.
It's like, I get it, but like, and again, special teams. It's one of those things where it's like, what are we doing here? This is your MO. Pin them deep. Force them to go run it 80 yards down the field. And at least at that point, they execute. More importantly, they show you that they have momentum, but you give them the football at the 40, you're giving them free points. That like this is where I had a problem with it. And I get it. You don't have, your kicking is hit and miss at times, but like still, that to me is just, it's uncalled for. And like, those are the mistakes that when we look back, it could easily be a game to where, hey, we won this football game with no questions asked. Or then you look back and say, well, hold up. why did we lose this football game? Because you went for it on 4th down after you got a grace period and said, nope, we're going to go ahead and get another 4th down. I don't get that call. That to me is really sickening. And then again, you look at it. Now, Mizzou, they capitalized. They got a touchdown. The one-handed catch by Luther Burden. Like, Dave, when we go back and we talk about it, what about this? Like, that is a guy that I wish we could have seen more from this year. Like, just more consistency. Because
even in like jet sweeps or maybe even Wildcat, dude. The guy can just make plays. You're right. Last year they did that. Kirby Moore and Eli Drinkers. This year, I agree with you, Cole. This year they haven't been as creative. I feel like it's a good word to use with 3.
Yeah. And again, you finally see the version of Luther Burden that we all picked to potentially win the Biletnikoff Award, potentially be an All-American.
Yeah.
The first wide receiver taken in the draft. And then you get that play. And it's like, oh my God, if this guy was on pace in the game against Texas A&M, are we talking about Mizzou differently? Are we talking about them differently in the Alabama game? What are we talking about with this team now actually finishing the year at 10-2 with one significant win against one of the top 25 teams? And then they've earned their right into the college football playoff, because that's a player that's going to make headlines on Sundays, millions of dollars, and be a benefactor for any young quarterback or any veteran quarterback going into 2025 when he gets to the NFL. And it just is frustrating because I wanted to see that version all year. And it comes down to a highlight grab in a game to where you needed Brady Cook to once again rise from the ashes, step on up, deliver a primetime caliber, exceptional A+ performance, and your number one receiver comes on in, makes a great one-handed grab, beats the defender, walks into the end zone, and all the momentum now is on Mizzou's side.
Yeah, that's a game for sure. South Carolina's on-campus staff is going to be showing on. I don't know if South Carolina goes to Williams-Brice Stadium for Friday night or Saturday night dinner. One of them. Most places do that. That'll be one they'll be showing in the old presidential suite as it goes on, just from a football standpoint. Like we keep saying, hey, you keep going back, you're replaying that whole game in your head, and you're like, it's just a good football game, man. In both halves, it kind of hit the emotions. It was good X's and O's. People made plays when they had to make plays. Just go. What sticks out to me is Lenore Sellers' ability to just continue to get better each week. Well, it's fun to see from a college football standpoint. And again, got to give a good tip of the cap to Eli. I know that was Eli Drinkers' first loss to South Carolina, but they came out with a plan, dude. Again, I think he played a little 3D chess with kind of keeping South Carolina on edge from, hey, they had Shane Beamer and them thinking, I think for a while, that Drew Pine was going to play in that game. And he kind of reversed the roles that would happen to him against Texas A&M.
The other thing that was really important was they said, hey, doubtful in the game. And then right before, it's like, hey, 11th hour. You know what? Screw it. We're going to play him.
It was a Jedi move there, dude. But Cole, you can attest. These new SEC rules with these injury reports, these coaches have gotten creative a little bit in their ways to have some gamesmanship with it. We've seen it with Mike Elko against Missouri, and we've seen it today with Missouri kind of out-tricking Shane Beamer and Clayton White and them. But I really bet if you ask Shane Beamer, they did not expect Brady White to play in that game.
You mean Brady Cook?
Sorry, Brady Cook.
But let's talk about that last play. That last drive. That, to me, is the ultimate when you look back next year and we talk about South Carolina potentially entering 2025 as a top 15 team. That's the reason why. Because you watched Lenore Sellers grow up. It wasn't just his ability to make complete passes to Jared Brown, to Dev Campbell, eventually to get the ball over to Rocket Sanders. What it was his ability to stay in the pocket and not feel flustered, ever. Just his ability to let the play unfold. He's nearly down for a 20-yard line, and then look at that. You get a completion, you find a way to continue to move the ball, and then the pass to Dale Campbell. That is the most grown-up pass I have seen from him at this point, and it never was in doubt. And then for Dale Campbell, 4 catches on the year going into this game. The guy I expected was going to be
traditionally used in the run game.
I thought he was going to be such a big threat. I thought he was going to be the new number 1. 4 catches. That's the fit. That is 100% the one that fans will remember, and they'll say, you know what? We don't care how many plays you made. It's when the plays mattered. And he sets them up for the Rocket Sanders play. And more importantly, such a dangerous, but for sure, without a question, the right call to get the ball to Rocket Sanders with less than a minute on the clock and say, you know what, 5? Do what you do best.
Yeah.
Bulldoze. Blast off.
Yeah.
And immediately pile drive. He is not going down. Overall, just that last drive, is one I will look back on. And when I see South Carolina, where they have transformed to, especially if they go out in the portal and they get more and more consistent players and they continue to build this roster up, that will be the drive to where I say that was the moment where you started to have to take South Carolina 100% seriously in 2025 as a legit threat for the college football playoff. And still, Dave, it's not going to happen unless pure chaos occurs. Unless pure chaos occurs. But that's a top 12 team. That's a team that if you're talking about for a 3-loss season, lost by 2 points to Alabama, lost by 3 points to LSU, and then the Ole Miss game. That's a team playing like a top 15 roster, if not a top 12 roster. If you come up with the ranking and say, hey, South Carolina's number 12, I can't argue it because if it was a hard-fought game and you watch the offense actually carry the defense. That to me was another big storyline that I don't think we talked enough about, Dave, is that this South Carolina team has banked on its defense, bailing it out of trouble. Not today. Today was the offense saving the defense's ass.
Yeah, and it's a veteran defense. Again, it just goes to show you with college football this year. If you want to be a good team, you got to play complementary football. The defense got to pick up the offense pick up the defense at sometimes. It just is what it is. And like when you're a team of destiny and it's just going right for you this year. And again, I don't think South Carolina is going to make the playoffs like you said, Cole. It's going to take real chaos. I even think Clemson's probably going to have to win the ACC for them to get in to strengthen the schedule. But from an overall standpoint, I mean, 9-3 at South Carolina is a phenomenal season. So for that team of destiny to continue to win, that's when he's kind of, hey, somebody's got to pick somebody up. And that's a sign. I mean, Shane Beamer said it with the Cole Cubic postgame. People talk about good culture. We have good culture. I think he does have good culture. Does he make bad in-game coaching decisions? Absolutely. I even think the people who wear the darkest scarlet and black
garnet and
glasses would tell you that he makes bad decisions at times. But I will say, Shane Beamer does hold a good within culture standpoint there. So when they have a senior Latin class, they can pull through, and I think the team pulled them out today. Again, I see some people in the comments saying, like, yeah, I think the players said, hold my beer here, Coach. We're going to go figure this out.
Yeah.
That was a good football game, dude. That was a fun – I keep saying that. That was one of the more – we won't talk about it. Probably me and you may. But, like nationally, we won't talk about it much. But that was one of, like, a top 5 game of the season in the league probably easily, and we still got multiple weeks.
I think the big thing is that both these guys, both these coaches fit their system extremely well. I don't think anybody at Mizzou right now is looking up and saying, you know what, we got to move off a drink. He's not a guy that we can believe it. No, 100%. He 100% is what is needed at Como. And I think that once again, he's going to go out. That's a program that realizes we're right there. We're right there every single year. We can win games. And their schedule is going to be the same as next year. Who knows what Alabama's going to be? Who knows what we're going to see from from Mississippi State? Who knows what we're going to see from Texas A&M? Who knows what we're going to see from a lot of these teams? Mizzou can go out, adding more players in the portal, and once again be right back in the conversation for a college football playoff hunt. Or 9-3, and 9-3 most years for a Mizzou program might be enough compared to what we remember about Mizzou for a long time. And the same thing could be said about South Carolina. When I look at the culture that is set by Shane Beamer, when I look at the fit, and you're telling me that there is coaches that certainly buy in to their program, that is a guy that I 100% say fit in Cola. I have no doubt about it. Without a question, that is somebody who is not looking to go anywhere else. That is somebody who I think can build a program that's sustainable. The way that his father built up Virginia Tech and turn it into a team that we talk about and still we want to get it back to Beamer ball standards out in Blacksburg. I think you can see that done out in Cola with Shane Beamer at the helm. And I think the same thing can be said about out in Como with Eli Drinkowitz. Both these guys just
I disagree. Both these guys can't be playoff contenders year in, year out. I'll disagree because they're both in that same tier of teams. I got to go with Cole. If you think both those teams are playoff teams year in, year out,
I think no. I think both are perfect fits for their system.
I thought you were talking about being like playoff teams year in, year out is like that. That's not possible in the league. Like, I mean, maybe in one given year, but consistently, no way.
No, but that's the thing is that that the teams that are currently built in that standard, the South Carolinas, the potentially the Auburns, the Oklahomas, depending on what they do moving forward, Mizzou, they're all Ole Miss. They're all teams that are going to be every 3 or 4 years in the hunt for a college football playoff berth. And then the other years, they're going to have to regroup and rebuild. But as long as they have the right people at the helm, the right coaches leading the charge, the identity of the program, they can do it. They can easily.
I think consistently for Missouri, even 10, I think this is the ceiling right here for South Carolina. They may think I'm crazy, but I think this is a ceiling. 9-3, you wouldn't take that every year, even if you do miss the playoffs.
I think the ceiling for them is 10-2 and maybe 11-1.
Consistently,
no, consistently no, but 9-3 yearly, yes, I think is the ceiling, 100%. I think that 10-2 college football playoff berth every 4 years is on the horizon. That 100% could be a thing.
Dude, I mean, you're asking LSU to make the playoffs once every 4 years. Do you think they're on the same level as South Carolina?
Why not? I mean, honestly, South Carolina, if things go a little bit differently in that game, yeah, I think once every 4 years is fine. I'm not going to say
if I was a South Carolina fan, I'd go once every 6 years, 7, 8. Like once every 4 years, dude. That guy's a great all-time great coach.
Now
like,
hold up,
that's Steve Spurrier level.
But are you telling me in a 16-team playoff mold, which is eventually going to happen once every 4 years?
Oh, no, I'm just talking about what we're talking about right now, 12. I ain't talking about.
Okay, in a 12, yeah, you're probably looking
that's
at
what we currently live in.
But but by the time that South Carolina is consistently going to the playoff, if they are, it's going to be in a 16-team playoff, unfortunately. Because we know that we're moving to 14 in 2 years. Like, that's the problem, is that eventually we are going to.
But as we stand right now, I can't talk 16, and we have never had an example of how they pick 16 teams. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm kind of just going off what I have right now, 12. For South Carolina to make the playoffs once every 4 years in a 12-team playoff, that guy should have a lifetime contract. I mean, even if that's Shane Beamer.
I mean, let's be real. Like, if Shane Beamer, if we're talking about a play away against Alabama or a play away against LSU, this is the team that goes to the playoff this year. This is, because I don't think they lose another game. They're not losing to Wofford next week. And the way they play today, if they show up that way in Death Valley.
You can say a lot of ifs about everybody. Though.
Sure, but again, I feel like that this is, again, a team that I'm buying a lot more stock into moving forward. Now, they got to use the portal in their favor. Especially in the defense.
But again, this is a magical year. That's why I say I think 9-3 in today's college football, that's the ceiling at that point. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, I think what people fail to realize in college football now, especially as the SEC keeps getting bigger, not everyone can finish 10-2, folks. Not everyone can finish 9-3 every year. You take your 9-3s if you're the mid-level SEC teams, and you celebrate the hell out of this.
But again, if they can use the portal in their favor, if they can somehow replenish the defense overnight, the way the offense looked today, a lot of those guys are going to be back. I mean, so many of those guys.
No, the offense has a high ceiling. I agree with you. Lenore Sellers is the most improved player in the entire SEC from week 1 to now, to week 12.
I'll tell you what, I'm really excited to see what we get to move forward with Mazeo Bennett. I want to see if Nick Harbour can continue to improve. I want them to add in one more wide receiver. I do, a primetime name, somebody built like an Xavier Legette, because I think that would make them a legit offense at the wide receiver spot. The tight end plays really well. They're going to bring in a good running back. The offensive line is going to get better because it's going to get more veteran. Like, there's a lot to like about this offense. Now the question is, can you add in those players defensively that counteract your offense to where you're in this conversation at 9-3 next year, 10-2, and maybe a dark horse for the college football playoff. But Dave, when you look right now, it does feel like both these teams are going to finish 9-3. All right.
I think that Missouri-Arkansas game is a little bit of a toss-up, don't you?
Is it in Fayetteville?
It's in Como, but I'm just in general.
I don't believe it. I think it's
weird for me to say I have more confidence in South Carolina beating Clemson than I do. I'm not saying Missouri isn't going to beat Arkansas. If you said, Dave, what do you have more confidence in as we speak in this moment? South Carolina going to go 9-3 by beating Clemson, or Missouri beating Arkansas? I'm kind of like, I feel pretty good about South Carolina beating Clemson.
South Carolina beat Clemson.
Yeah, just in my opinion. But I'm with you, Cole. I mean, it's not a guarantee for Arkansas. I think that game's kind of call me crazy, a toss-up, right? I mean, at least in my opinion. South Carolina, Arkansas.
It could, but I will say
Missouri, Arkansas.
But I will say that if you were to tell me right now, gonna ahead, who do I think is going to win a football game? I would say South Carolina over Clemson.
Off tonight.
Yeah.
Off tonight. Yeah.
Off tonight. And I do think that once again, if you're able to get into that game with Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart, and you're able to utilize that pass rush the way that you couldn't tonight, I'm not even sure it's a 4-quarter game. Like that to me is the difference.
Cool, I'm with you. I think South Carolina beats Clemson this year, and I know the South Carolina fans aren't real fond of me. I'm just saying, I think 9-3 is phenomenal season this year. I just don't think you're a playoff contender every year because of your turnover, and that's where I think they disagree. They think they are. I don't, but I think this year is a phenomenal 9-3 season. I think you beat Clemson. I could see you winning by double digits against Clemson. I think you out-athlete them, and I think they can't tackle in space. That's where I think if Rocket Sanders can stay healthy, which he should through the Wofford game, wouldn't you think, Cole? I mean, he shouldn't get a lot of carries in that game. I think you go into that. I just think this is a great year for Shane Beamer. His best year yet. It's just everything's happening for them, and that they've made their own luck. It's just I think I'm talking about long-term playoff being a playoff contender year in, year out. I don't think they are.
Here's what I will say. I think that at the end of the day, regardless if they're a playoff contender year in and year out, there's a lot of momentum. And more importantly, before we even talk about playoffs for this year or anything else, the last thing you can afford to do at this point, going into that Clemson game, because let's just go ahead and chalk it up. You're going to beat Wofford. You'll get 8 wins for sure this year. You cannot look ahead the way that LSU did, because the second that you get complacent and the second that you don't show up for 4 quarters and you don't play a physical brand of football, you are allowing a team that maybe feels inferior look superior, regardless of home location or away. So no matter what, this is a game where you have to make sure you control what you can control, because I don't want to hear anything about playoffs right now. What I want to hear is that South Carolina is going to go 9-3. And if the playoffs happen, the playoff happens. That's fine. But South Carolina finishes the year 9-3. It's a record-setting season for Shane Beamer. It's a year to remember out in Cola. That's the only focus I want at this point.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing about playoff, because I just watch what happened this earlier today out in Gainesville. Just look at what happened out in Gainesville today. South Carolina didn't control it. LSU had a slim path to the postseason. They didn't handle business. Don't be thinking about the playoff. Think about going at 9-3. That is the only focus I want from South Carolina fans moving forward. And if you do that, let the playoff commence. I think Dave and I would agree right now.
I think in general, even if you don't make the playoffs, which they don't understand, it's still a good year.
I think, Dave, let's just go ahead and call it like it is. South Carolina right now could make some noise in the playoff if they were to get there. But regardless, 9-3 compared to what was this year, what you thought this year was, 5.5. Shane Beamer in Dallas told everybody, go ahead and put us at 11, go ahead and put us at 12. We have internal belief. That internal belief can still be there. Just finish the damn job. That's all you need to do. And let the rest play itself out. Because if you have to control what you can control, and if you do that, that's fine. 9-3, when everyone said 4-8, 5-7, Shane Beamer potentially going to be feeling some pressure going into 2025. That's a year to remember out in Cola. That's 100% a year that people will be able to hold their hat on. And more importantly, 4 ranked wins. A win against Texas A&M, a win against Clemson, a win against Vanderbilt, and a win against Mizzou. Nobody is going to be complaining about that. Nobody's going to be complaining about that.
No, I mean, you can't. Again, 9-3 is a phenomenal year in Columbia, South Carolina. Again, I mean, it's a phenomenal season across the board there. Again, I was one of the people that wasn't high on them going in. I've admitted that. And for whatever reason, they don't like me because I picked Kentucky to beat them one week, and they haven't gotten over that. But I've said it. I've called a spade a spade. I've admitted where I was wrong before. I just don't think year in, year out they're a playoff team, and they have a problem with that. But I think this year, phenomenal job by Shane Beamer and them.
This year, if they were able to make the playoff, 100% think that they would make some noise. I don't know if it will happen. I don't care.
I think they could definitely win a game in the playoff.
They could win. They could win a game in the playoff. Now, could they win multiple? That's going to be a big time question.
Yeah, because I think South Carolina could beat BYU. I think they could beat the ACC champ on a given day.
They could easily beat the
ACC
champ.
Then after Indiana, if they were to get in, they could win. I think even South Carolina could beat Penn State.
Oh, they could easily beat Penn State.
I mean, if you want to be completely honest, and the SEC is a toss-up, but then you got Oregon, Ohio State, and that's, again, where people struggle to realize. Again, I worked in college football for 9-10 years. Personnel matters, guys. And when you play Oregon and Ohio State, that's where the personnel separate. So that's where I would kind of feel like you'd have to rain on the parade a little bit. But I think, Cole, you would agree. Indiana, ACC champ, Big 12 champ, Notre Dame.
They would beat Notre Dame, Penn State.
I mean, 5 out of the 12, you would feel like
6.
South Carolina, and even some other SEC teams on a given day, if they got matched up, they could definitely win.
Well, 6, because you also got to include Boise State.
No, I did say the group.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear the group of 5 part. But yeah, no. And then honestly, toss up for me against probably Tennessee. If this is the version of the offense that we see.
No, for sure. I think South Carolina could beat Tennessee this year.
Toss up against Alabama. Toss up probably. And again, I do think that right now it would be the rematch I would love to see is how does Shane Beamer respond playing against Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, because that's the only game this year where they haven't looked like they were in it. I know that we've been going for a while.
I mean, we can make a case Ole Miss is probably the most complete team in the league too. So
I think
it's kind of a tough case. So Ole Miss is a bad matchup for them because they don't really have a distinct hole in that roster right now.
They could be. Listen, let's just be real. Texas today showed some weakness on offense. They could beat Texas. They could hold their own against Texas. I'm not saying that they would, but you tell me 9 times out of 10
they definitely hold their own. I would agree with that. Yeah.
You tell me 9 times out of 10 they get 1 win. I could see that, and that 1 win.
Well, on a given day, for sure, South Carolina could beat Texas. I mean, South Carolina on a given day could beat Ole Miss. For being completely honest.
Look, we've been going for over 30 minutes. We're going to be back later tonight to break down everything that we saw in Tennessee versus Georgia. But real quickly, if you haven't already, we got over 1,200 people watching, and we're going to continue to do this type of content for you every single day. So do us a favor. Make sure that you like the video. More importantly, make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below, because this is your #1 source for all things SEC, and we like talking about your team. We like talking about South Carolina. We like talking about Mizzou. We like talking about all 16 teams. I come in unbiased. Dave comes in unbiased. Sometimes you may not like the answers, but you want to know what? We're going to give you fun content and enjoyable conversations that you can have with us all the time. So like, rate, review, subscribe. Make sure that you're following us on all the social channels: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Follow the man, the myth, the legend, Dave Shumate at Mach 10 Sports. Follow me at Mr. Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. South Carolina put on its big boy pants out in the most hostile cathedral of chaos and the most underrated one. Willie B was rocking tonight. South Carolina 34, Mizzou 30. Peace.
It's a good game.